So how can students overcome the fear of earning a bad grade?
Yeah, I think really when students are coming to college, one of the challenges is how they were graded in high school and how you're graded in college in terms of expectation and amount of work that is required for the class. So I think that one of the ways that students can do a lot better with their grades is really having a plan. Like how are they managing their time, how are they organizing it, and also taking advantage of the resources that are available to them. Tutoring, meeting their faculty. A lot of them have never done that before when they were in high school. They really didn't meet with their teacher like after class or before class. And now we're saying it's a good thing to meet with the instructor, so try to give them strategies on meeting with them and just being prepared for those sessions when they're meeting with them.
Yes, I agree that the extra facilities that they have here in college really helped me when I first got here, so I agree with that.
I know we're going to be talking about it in the next module, but would you mind just touching a little bit more on like approaching instructors, because a lot of students might be nervous about doing that for the first time?
Good. Excellent. So all the instructors have office hours. Well, they should have office hours. And so the office hour is really for the student to have an opportunity to ask them questions. And a lot of times what happens is the student comes to the session, but they don't have questions prepared, or problems that they want to review. So just as you prepare for class, prepare for the opportunity to meet with the faculty, because you're going to get a lot more from them by having a plan. And they do want you to come. One of the things that's great about Villanova is our classes aren't too big. In some other universities, there are 100 students in the class. So the faculty actually do have more time for you and should take advantage of it.
Okay. Stepping back to grades, what are some good ways to overcome the disappointment of receiving a bad grade?
I was in college once, and so when you're faced with those bad grades, recognize that it's feedback. And so I always took it as feedback. This is saying that there's something that maybe I didn't get when I was sitting in the class, and maybe I was studying by myself, and if I had studied with a group, I would have gotten something that I didn't realize was lost in translation with the faculty members. So it's really important to really have that, that organized plan in terms of how you're going to respond.
Okay, yes. So now we're going to go on to procrastination, which I think most of the student population does. So what do you think is the underlying reason students procrastinate?
Well, I met with a student today, and it had to do with just priorities and the opportunity for technology and how technology can sometimes get in the way. Spending a lot of time on your phone or on a laptop. I can say for myself sometimes, I get on my cell phone, so I'm just going to be here for 5 minutes. And next thing you know, it's like a half an hour, 45 minutes, because you went from one Facebook picture or one Instagram picture to the next.
Yeah.
Right. And so sometimes we're doing that to procrastinate on the things that we really need to do, because it feels better to us to see those pictures and to see the likes and so forth. So you do have to set priorities, and I say set it at the beginning of the day. What are my priorities for the day? And if I need breaks, fine, build a break into the day. But don't allow the day to go by and now you've lost an opportunity to be prepared for a quiz or a test examination that's coming up. And now you feel like you're behind and you're staying up half the night because you procrastinated.
Yes. Well, for me, I think the reason why I procrastinate is because I always think that I have more time than I actually do. So I keep thinking, oh, I can start it later, oh, I can do it next tomorrow, but the best thing to do is to start when you get the project. So even if you don't finish it as soon as you get it, at least putting your foot forward and just starting it. I think that's better than not doing it at all, because then you'll be doing it last minute. So I think that's...
I have a story. I had a student that waited till the last minute. She was doing a term paper. And I had a conversation with her about getting it done in advance. So she was waiting. She finally started it, but it was due the next day. Her computer crashed. And she lost the paper. And so, that's a hazard that you face when you procrastinate and wait till the last minute, or you're doing a project and you need a certain part for the project, and the store closed at 9 o'clock and now it's 9:30, and because you didn't plan for that, then you miss out on getting the things that you need. So procrastination, working on it now is a good thing for professional work.
Yes.
Because they're going to be deadlines that you have to meet, and if you can work through it, it'll be to your advantage, ultimately.
I think what you were talking about before with setting a plan for your day and everything applies a lot to projects too. So could you talk some more about what you think are some good ways to avoid procrastination in projects specifically?
Mm-hmm. So the start of it is having the things that you need to complete the project. And a lot of us, when we get the syllabus for the beginning of the semester, it's going to tell you this is what you need to do. And you're deciding in a creative way how you're going to present the project. So you kind of have control. So I always say at the beginning of the semester, get all the supplies that you need. So you're not running out to get them. And then on a weekly basis, start working on the project. So by the time you have maybe 3 weeks in advance of the actual submission, you can actually have the professor take a look at it and give you feedback on it, and then you can make a few changes and submit it and get an even better grade than waiting until the last minute.
Yes, I think a lot of the problems with procrastination is a lack of motivation. So especially if it's a hard project, it's so hard to just get started because sometimes you don't even know what you want to do with the project. So I think as soon as you get the topic, a lot of my engineer classes, they separate the projects into different weeks, so you don't have to do it all at once. And I think it makes it so much easier to get started because you just have to think about what you're going to do, and you can do each step, and then you can always get feedback from each of your professors. So even if your class or your professors doesn't necessarily do that, you can do it for yourself and have a schedule of what you want to do for each part of the project. So I think it makes it it runs smoother than just trying to do everything at once. So the next topic is stress. So how does stress build up over time and affect a student's grade?
If you're an engineering student, you're going to have some stress. And I think all those things that we're talking about now, procrastination, maybe you're not feeling well, that could be another thing, other priorities, they all affect whether you're going to be able to get things done in a timely fashion. So I always believe in having an academic plan, like following your academic plan. What are the things that you're going to do? What are your priorities for the week? And making sure that you stay on top of that so that you can use it to your advantage rather than waiting until the last minute.
Also with stress, what are some good strategies for avoiding it?
Well, I have a couple strategies for if you're going to take a test and you're stressed out.
Okay.
So if you, one of the things that I think is important is not to stay up all night. Because when you get ready to take the test, you will be totally stressed out. Because half of the things that you study, you're not going to remember because you're too tired. Or if you're that person that needs to have a meal before a test, you're not going to have time for that. And then the stress is going to build up. So there's less stress when you feel more prepared in anything. That's whether you're doing public speaking, taking a quiz, a test, doing a project. So really work on preparation for what you're going to do. That will take away from some of the stress. If you're having to give an oral presentation, I say to students, go to the room several days before you have to give the presentation and practice giving the presentation. Ask a few of your friends to sit in the back of the room and see if they can hear you. So you've already practiced in the room that you're going to give the presentation, and that can reduce the stress. You tested the equipment to make sure that that's worked right. Because I've seen situations where students are getting ready to give the presentation and nothing seems to work. The PowerPoint doesn't show up. Everything is kind of off. So that will reduce your nervousness and your stress and anxiety because you're prepared and you know what direction you're headed in.
With the tests and the presentations, I think it's really important to work as hard as you can up until that point, but you also need to recognize after the fact that there are some things that you cannot change. So that's a good way to let things roll off of you, is recognize that once things are done, they're done. You just have to do everything you can, try your best beforehand, and that goes with like getting over the disappointment of a bad grade and everything else. I think that's like a really important mindset to be able to put yourself in. It's hard to get there, but if you can, like that's something to work towards.
Yeah, you make a good point. That is, and it goes back to what we talked about at the very beginning, holding on to failures. But failures are feedback. And so take it as feedback for you to do better the next time, and don't stay stuck in that situation, and go to get the help that you need so that you can do better the next time. Sometimes the subject is really difficult, and I also recommend you might need to talk to another instructor teaching the same subject to ask them questions to give you input, and maybe from their perspective you understand it better. So don't just feel stuck with that one instructor unless that's the only instructor for that class, but take the initiative to meet with other instructors or a graduate student that may be able to explain it to you better. And when the graduate student explains it better, again, your anxiety level goes down because you feel more confident in the knowledge that you have.
Yeah, so another topic now is fitness, and that seems to be something that is always spoken about when talking about stress. So what can students do about stress that comes from not focusing on fitness?
Right. So I think that in that time management schedule they put together, not crazy in terms of the amount of hours and times that you put into it, but if you're putting 10 to 20 minutes of fitness into your schedule per day, that's better than nothing at all. So whether it's going for a walk, going to the track, all those things, or lifting weights, all those things are important. Even in my life, I'm much older now, I still focus on fitness, because both physical fitness results in mental fitness. And the less tired you are, the stronger you feel, the better that you'll perform. So it's really good to have that as a priority. For myself, I don't know about you, you're on a track team, so that's a whole different thing. But getting up in the morning and doing the fitness for me is the best thing, because if I try to do it late in the afternoon, it's just too many other things going on, and then 3 days will go by and I didn't do any fitness. So I do mine early in the morning, and that would be my recommendation if possible to do that. Or some of the students have schedules where they only have classes from like 8 to 12, and so sometime
the better time in the afternoon.
I feel like you already touched on it, but the next question was, does implementing a fitness plan really reduce stress?
It really does. It really helps in terms of your energy level. Your overall confidence in yourself can be uplifted, and in terms of, like, some people are more susceptible to illnesses, colds and things of that nature, because they're not physically fit. And then your immune system is available to different types of viruses, so being fit will help with that as well.
Yes, and not only with mental fitness, but exercising really helps you to relax post-workout. Well, while you're exercising, your heart's pumping and everything, but post-workout, it really helps you to feel relaxed and more focused, so you can get more work done and less stressed. So.
I mean, there's actual science behind the fact that you're fit and how you feel mentally and physically.
Okay, so learning difficulties. Is it common for students to not come to college and not know how to study?
Yes, it is. Even some of the better students, because they had great memories, they didn't really have to go home and study. If they read the book or they listened to the teacher at school, I've run into several students like that. And then they get to college. I was one of them, because I studied. I didn't really everything. I absorbed it, and then I got to college and I found out, wow, there's so much more in this class. So many more books to read, so many more assignments to do. That's when I broke out a time management schedule, because I realized I just could not get it all done. But it's an adjustment to being successful.
Yes, I think it really is common, because coming into college, when I was in high school, I thought what I was doing was studying, but it really wasn't. It was more skimming the notes and just getting the test done. But it's so hard to do that here in college. You really have to have a strict study schedule and doing all your assignments. So it's a really big adjustment, but it's something that's really necessary to do.
Now, I think sometimes you can forget that the instructors are experts in their field. So they spend years and years studying it. Now you're coming to college and you're just studying it. But they're the experts on those topics. So I recommend the students try to become in some way a little expert on the topic. one of the things that you can do is actually research the professor's research. What books have they written? What articles have they written? So you begin to kind of think like they think as you're responding to questions and giving answers to those questions as well.
Yeah, I think using the books is really important because I never read textbooks in high school, and all I did was skim notes, and that does not fly now that I'm at Villanova. But textbooks can really like make and break your experience in a class, I feel like, because there are times when the professor's not available or the TA is not available, and the textbook is all you have. And there have been some classes where they're like, the textbook isn't really required, so I didn't buy it. And then crunch time would come around, and I really wish I had bought that textbook.
And another thing that students don't do in high school is they don't read before the class. Often they just come and wait for the teacher. But in college, if you read before the class and make notes, you're going to do a lot better in that class than just arriving to the class and asking questions, but you don't have anything to base on in terms of your overall knowledge to ask those questions. So reading prior to it is really to open your mind to what's happening in the class and for you to be able to get better responses.
Okay. And quickly, because I think we might be running out of time, is there a negative stigma when students go to the Learning Center for tutoring or help?
That is only in the student's mind. So it's a great student. The students who are earning A's and B's, they go to tutoring. They go get help. So I want to encourage everyone out there that don't allow your pride to hold you back from going to get tutoring, from meeting with the faculty, from taking advantage of different resources that are on this campus that are here for you to take advantage of that will help you to be successful. That's our main goal, is for you to be successful and to go out and conquer the world as students. So.
With that, yeah, thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.